She's like a sister. He said it so easily, so naturally, like it explained everything, like it removed any reason to question. And for a while, it did. Because that phrase, it sounds safe. It sounds harmless. It sounds like something you shouldn't doubt. And I didn't. At least, not at first. I remember the first time he mentioned her, casually, in conversation. She called today, he said. I nodded. Who? Just a friend, he replied, then added, she's like a sister. Simple, clear, defined. And that definition, it stayed. Because when someone labels something that way, you don't question it. You accept it. You trust it. That's what I did. Days passed, then weeks, and her name came up more often. Not in a suspicious way, just consistently. She needed help with something. She was having a bad day. I talked to her for a bit. Normal, friendly, supportive. Nothing wrong, nothing unusual. At least, that's how it sounded. But something small started to shift. Not in what he said, but in how often he said it. Because repetition, it matters. And once you notice it, you can't ignore it. One evening I asked about her, casually, not accusing, just curious. You talk about her a lot, I said. He shrugged. She's just close to me. Then repeated, like a sister. That line again, reassuring, defining, closing the door on any doubt. So I nodded. Okay. And the conversation moved on. But something stayed. Not doubt, just awareness. Because sometimes you don't question something, you just start noticing it more. And once you notice, patterns become visible. The calls, the messages, the way his attention shifted when her name came up. Subtle, but consistent. And that consistency, it started to feel less like coincidence and more like something intentional. One night, I noticed something different. We were sitting together. Same routine, same quiet. His phone buzzed. He picked it up, looked at it, and smiled. Not a big smile, not obvious, just real. Then he quickly locked his phone, placed it face down, and continued like nothing happened. That moment, it stayed with me, because it felt familiar. Too familiar. Like something I had seen before, in a different way, at a different time. But this time, it had a name. And that name, it mattered. I didn't say anything, didn't ask, because I already knew what he would say. She's like a sister. And I didn't feel like hearing that again. So I stayed quiet, but I paid attention, more than before. Not suspiciously, just clearly. Days passed, and that pattern didn't change. If anything, it became easier to see. The late messages, the quick replies, the slight distance when he was on his phone. It wasn't obvious, it wasn't extreme, but it was there. And once something is there, it doesn't disappear just because you ignore it. One afternoon, something small happened, but it was enough. He left his phone on the table, unlocked, for a moment. Not long, just enough. I didn't rush to it, didn't grab it immediately, because I didn't want to be that person, the one who checks, the one who doubts. But then I remembered something. You don't need to worry about her. That's what he said. So I didn't rush. I just looked, calmly. And that's when I saw it, her name, at the top, pinned, not buried, not hidden, right there, visible, important. And something about that felt different. Because people don't pin things that don't matter. They don't keep them at the top unless they want to see them first, every time. My hand didn't shake, my heart didn't race. I just tapped, slowly. And in that moment, everything changed. The screen opened, quietly. No warning, no hesitation, just truth. At first it looked normal. Messages, short, casual, the kind you don't question. Did you reach home? Yeah. Take care. Simple, harmless, exactly what you would expect from someone who's like a sister. And for a moment, I almost believed it again. Almost. But then I scrolled. Just a little, not searching, not digging, just continuing. And that's when it changed. The tone, the timing, the words. Subtle at first, then clearer, then undeniable. You didn't reply last night. I was waiting. I paused, not because I didn't understand, but because I did, completely. I kept reading, not fast, not rushed, just calmly, like I already knew what I would find. You miss me? Always. That line stayed, not loudly, but deeply, because it didn't belong there, not in that context, not in that relationship, not with that label. She's like a sister. I closed my eyes for a second, not to avoid it, just to let it settle, because once you see something clearly, you don't need to keep looking. You just need a moment to accept it. I placed the phone back exactly where it was, same position, same angle, like nothing had been touched, because I didn't need to hold on to it anymore. I had already seen enough, more than enough. Sometimes one message is enough. Sometimes one line changes everything. That evening, when he came home, everything looked the same. Same door, same footsteps, same casual, hey. Hey, I replied, my voice steady, neutral. He put his keys down, checked his phone, and I noticed it, that quick glance, that small attention, the same pattern, but now it had meaning, real meaning. How was your day? He asked. I looked at him, really looked, and for the first time, I wasn't trying to believe him. I was just seeing him. It was clear, I said. He frowned slightly. Clear? I nodded. I understood something. A pause. What? That moment, that shift, the point where everything either stays hidden or becomes real. I held his gaze for a second, then said calmly, she's not like a sister. Silence. Not loud, not dramatic, just still. He looked at me, confused, then cautious. What do you mean? He asked. I didn't rush, didn't raise my voice, didn't explain too much, because I didn't need to. I saw the messages, I said. Simple, direct, complete. Everything changed in that moment, not around us, inside him. I could see it, the realization, the awareness, the understanding that something was no longer hidden. It's not what you think, he said quickly. Of course, that line, it always comes first. Not truth, not honesty, just correction. Like the problem isn't what happened, but how I understood it. I nodded slightly. I didn't think, I replied. I just read. And that difference, it matters, because thinking can be wrong, but seeing is clear. Looking back, I realized something. It wasn't just about the messages. It was about the label, the way he defined it, the way he made it sound safe, harmless, untouchable. Because once something is called nothing, you stop looking at it, and that's where it stays, hidden, until it isn't. You're misunderstanding, he added. I almost smiled, because that pattern, it never changes. Turn clarity into confusion, turn truth into doubt. But this time, it didn't work. Because this time, I wasn't questioning myself. I'm not, I said calmly. I just stopped believing the label. Silence. Complete. Because there was nothing left to argue with, nothing left to explain. Because this wasn't about interpretation anymore. It was about reality. And reality doesn't need agreement. I stood up slowly, not in anger, not to escape, just to move forward, because something had already ended, quietly, without noise, without a fight, just understanding. I trusted what you said, I added softly, and that was the truth. I had trusted him, not blindly, but willingly, Because trust is a choice, and sometimes that choice gets broken. Not loudly, not suddenly, just quietly. I didn't mean it like that, he said. I nodded. I know. And I did. Because people don't always mean to cross lines, but that doesn't mean they don't. That doesn't mean it doesn't show. I picked up my bag. He noticed immediately. Where are you going? He asked. I paused for a moment, not because I didn't know, but because I wanted to say it clearly. I'm not staying where nothing looks like this, I said quietly. His expression changed, but this time it didn't matter, because I wasn't waiting for it anymore. I walked past him slowly, not rushing, not dramatic, just certain. Because once you see something clearly, you don't go back to pretending it's harmless. And that realization, it changes everything.